Hello, welcome everybody, all the shining beings from the multifold dimensions. I am here with Sandra Hillawi today, the wonderful, wonderful Sandra Hillawi. And I'm super excited because I saw a video you just posted on Facebook about Star Matrix. And yeah, so I had a thing at the same time, and I really wanted to share that and discuss that with you. Would that be all right with you, Sandra?
Yeah, absolutely. It was fresh from a little star matrix session with the client, and which completely energized me. I was so happy afterwards and shining. I thought I've got to do something with this shining energy. So I just made this video, and yeah, just
I'm
a little shining moment.
Well, let's share it with everybody so we have our starting point for this video that we're recording here right
Okay.
now.
You know, it's so easy to talk about our problems, to focus on our struggles of the past. But when for a change, we focus on our star moments, the happy memories, and we talk about those, we connect with all the positive emotions instead of all the negative emotions. And not only that, as we dwell and we examine those positive memories, they reveal something about ourselves, our true nature, our real self, who we're meant to be, who we're designed to be. And it's really quick and easy to do that. It's much easier to reconnect with your real self by finding a star memory and talking about that and examining that than it is to find a scar memory and try to heal that to then get back to yourself. So much faster, so much easier, so much happier. And having just done that with a client this morning, I'm all my starry self also. So it rubs off on you as a practitioner to help somebody else to do that. Anyway, I'm making this video because today we start a 12-week journey of Star Matrix, and a group of us are about to set off on this journey of spending time uncovering, digging up our star memories to reveal what that says about ourselves, to access and embody all the positive energy that is in there, to remind ourselves that we realize and embody more of our real self. So we shine in our life, so we have more energy for our life, so we're happier in our life. And it really works, because now I'm all shined up just from spending 20 minutes doing that with somebody else. So
Yes, so that's what I saw this morning.
And you had a star moment.
Well, there's so much to say about this.
Yeah, there
If
is.
anybody does see this live, you can still get on board with Sandra's course today. And if you don't see it live, you can get on board with one of Sandra's future courses.
Mhm.
And yeah, really learn something about who you are in this incarnation. I also absolutely loved the comment that you are so happy after having the session with the client. This is what I'm always saying, is that, star therapy isn't just for the clients, it's for the
It's
practitioners.
definitely for the therapist as well.
Yeah, it makes them happy, and no therapist burnout, which is awesome. So I'll stick that in there while I'm there. But
Yeah.
see, now look, so here I was writing an article this morning about energy and metaphor. As you know that we
Mhm.
are not allowing metaphor in EMO, energy in motion.
Mhm.
So because you can't put a rusty sword through a meridian, basically. So
Mhm.
we just do straight simplified energy work, which is really important. I was writing an article about this, and just discussing this whole energy and emotion thing, how in modern energy tapping we do um, metaphor with a client when the client presents the metaphor on a plate,
Mhm.
when they're literally giving you the metaphor.
Yeah.
Like, I feel I have the world on my shoulders. rather than I'm being depressed by too much work or too much responsibility at work, this sort of thing. They're saying, giving you a metaphor on a plate. And then in modern energy tapping, we work with that. We also have the special metaphor department, the whole gigantic metaphor department called Supermind, which is where we actually learn what metaphors are and how to work with them. Yay. And so this is an article I'm writing, and I'm giving an example of someone. And as I'm writing the example, I'm remembering, obviously, myself things as well. And I'm writing the example and about EMO and sanctuary and modern energy tapping. But as I'm writing it, I'm thinking, I wonder if star matrix could be used in order to overcome something. And into my mind just flashed this star memory, because see, our energy minds, they don't understand rhetorical questions. They don't understand a rhetorical question. My energy mind
asked yourself this, and your energy mind just shot you an answer.
Yes, this person with the weight of the world on their shoulders, and I wonder why I chose that as an example. But let us not drift off into Freudian territory here. But that was my example, the person with the world on their shoulders. And into my mind flashed this moment of running freely down a little path road in my neighborhood when I was a child, going, woohoo! And what was so absolutely riveting about that was that here's the whole story. The whole story goes like this. Little Silvia is tasked with clearing out the van that had brought provisions to the pub. And she's looking at all those heavy crates and boxes and, 50-kilo sacks of potatoes. This is for a commercial business. This is not a shopping trip for the family. And she's going, no, I'm not doing that. And tells her mother, I'm not doing that, turns around and runs away down the car park, round the corner, and down this little country lane. Feeling, woo, finally, I've done something right in my incarnation. I'm free. Now it so happens that Mama didn't take this kindly, and unexpectedly was so angry about this that she ran after the aspect, chased her down, caught her outside the house of an aunt, and started beating her with a plank until the aunt finally managed to grapple it away from her and drag her away. So I always thought of this trauma as one of those major childhood traumas. But the way that was, that when this memory came to me, what happened was that it didn't stop at the moment of running freely down the street, down the country road. It didn't stop there. It continued on. And I saw the whole thing happening. The whole thing was happening, completely connected forward and backward in the timeline. And also this other part to it, which was that the aunt sent my mother packing, told her that her behavior is completely unacceptable, and then took the aspect inside and gave her some cake and some hugs and things of that nature. And I had not remembered that at all, ever.
Interesting.
Now, like everybody else in the tapping community who's been in there for as long as I have, we've been through our traumas. We've been tapping on our traumas, Even though my mother beat me with a plank, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. But that was so isolated. It was like a bubble of that plank trauma, being, wedged up against the well and not being able to get any further away and, all that. It was so isolated. And now it's not. It's a part of a story. And I have not personally ever experienced that before, that effect of star matrix.
And so that the fact that you went from like kind of scar to star, you actually went through the whole series of events. Actually,
it was smooth.
Kinds of events smoothly.
It was so smooth, and also it made sense. The whole thing now makes sense. from start to finish. The rebellion of the, I'm not carrying that into the cellar by
Which is a
myself.
moment of empowerment, of looking after herself, the young aspect, taking
Yeah,
her power, looking after what she wants to do.
the
Her body
aspect
wants to
standing up to authority. And being quite convinced that the authority wouldn't come after her, not for that length of
I
running.
had no idea that that would happen. Yeah.
No, authority actually decided to take this very seriously on this particular occasion. And yeah, but the connection of that,
Hmm.
the whole thing flowing through, and I really don't feel I have to do any more with this trauma.
Hmm. And previously you had, is that what you're saying? You
Oh yeah,
previously.
I felt that it was such a terrible trauma, you know, that and such a crushing of my youthful spirit at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is, first of all, I wanted to share it with somebody. I really did. But also, I want to, as you, as a star therapist, I want to guide you to the message for me. I want you to guide me for the
Yeah.
message that I should be getting from this, because that's such an important part of the star therapy process.
So
Is
let
that,
me ask you a couple of questions then first. Is what in that whole story, how many, in fact, or was the one or more actually high points? Which is the highest point of power, of energy for you in that sequence of that
yes,
story? What
that
was
was
it?
that was the, oh my God, I've done it. I've broken free. I've broken out. I've managed to do it. I'm free. Woohoo!
And how does that feel, remembering that moment? How does that
It's
actually feel?
absolutely, yes, it's
Where,
absolutely
where, where do you feel that in your body?
like
Where
a
do you feel?
fountain that's coming literally. My tips of my toes are tingling all the way up my legs, all the way up and out.
Well, allow
Wow.
it, just allow that energy. Let yourself feel that moment, all that tingling and that energy of that moment. And what does what is true in that moment for you? What does that reveal to you of importance and significance?
That I get to shape my own destiny. I can
Okay. So when
empower,
you
I can feel, I can do something. I can do something. I have agency to make choices that, it's like breaking through this wall of this prison that you are trapped in,
Mm,
and completely helpless, and you just had to do all these things that the prison wardens want you to do,
mhm.
and you're just broken out of that, and you can do that. I can do that.
So
Not
when
just
you say
Robin Hood or Superman or somebody you see on the television or in the movies. They
yeah.
can do that. But I didn't know that I could do that. And
So
that
when
was
you
just
say that,
wow.
when you say that, I can do that. What does that
Yeah.
feel like?
Absolutely astonishing.
Yeah. And let yourself,
Absolutely astonishing. I never thought I was one of those.
yeah. And realizing that you are, what does that feel like in your body? Where do you feel that energy of that? I'm one as well. I can do that. What's that
I
feel like?
feel it just feels like being much taller, much brighter. As I say, it's a fountain sensation.
Mm.
Like I don't know, we don't do auras in
Mm.
modern energy, but if there was somebody with one of those electromagnetic meters, they would probably be able to measure my field now from 30 meters away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it really feels like that.
Yeah.
And see, now the original thing was, the problem statement was, I have the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Mm.
That was the original problem statement. And
Your energy mind served you up a memory
yes, that memory
with the antidote to that, or the
with the
energy.
antidotal energy to that.
Mm.
And interesting, what I thought found so interesting is, now, if you because this run didn't stop with the beating at the well, it didn't stop there.
Mhm.
It moved on to then the aunt being really nice for a change, which she wasn't always. On that occasion, she was.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, if you stand up to power, there may be consequences. But even though those consequences may be harsh, life goes on, and you might meet some supporters or friendly people afterwards.
Mm.
You know, so it kind of, yeah, it kind of says it's okay.
It's
Don't be
okay.
so afraid of the consequences.
Yeah.
Just stand up to power.
Yeah.
And that I find really moving.
Yeah. Give yourself a moment to feel that emotion. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to feel it and breathe and just let yourself feel it. Yeah. Let it flow.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, okay.
And
I
what's
just
moving
I
about that? Why is that moving? What's that?
don't know what that is moving. It's just
Yeah.
very emotional, this
Yeah.
thing of, don't be afraid of the consequences.
Yeah.
Stand up to power. And I'm like, I thought I did that. Perhaps I can stand up more. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Nice.
Take the beating and just
And
beating
stand
be
up.
damned.
And still stand up. Yeah. And
Yes.
still.
And there may be somebody coming along later on to, put some plasters on you and some ice packs and give you a piece of cake. Who knows? There's
Yeah.
hope. There's hope. It's not just demolition or destruction.
Yeah.
And you see, I think that this star memory literally washed out the trauma memory, the blockage from that trauma memory,
Mm.
which I haven't thought about since we very first started trying to find traumas to tap on in EFT.
Mm.
And it was just like the intensity of that. Yes, this is who I am.
Mm.
It seems to have flushed out that trauma blockage of, yeah, you may be one of them, but you're, I don't know, too scary. The consequences are too dire.
Yeah.
Being
And
too
now,
afraid.
and now you can stand
Yeah.
for yourself and stand for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I have a massive energy blockage no more this morning that I had yesterday.
Mm.
Wow. I think that's really super.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for being here
So
with me this
interesting.
morning.
Something just tells me there's some little star still on the other side, the anti coming into who doesn't normally help, that actually helped. Is there like a moment in that part of the story also that was like a surprise, helpful realization moment in that part of the story?
What, in the trauma part or the aftermath?
After the rescue part, yeah.
Well, my aunt was a complete mouse.
Mm.
My mother was a dragon and the aunt was a mouse.
Mm.
And the mouse found at least the
little bit of strength.
to when it just got too bad for her to actually step in and do something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, she could have done that a bit earlier, but never mind. She
And
was
was the
my aunt was a mouse. She really was. And to be fair, that it made the aspect think that perhaps what the mother had done wasn't so cool, wasn't so groovy, wasn't so 100% accepted as it would have otherwise have been if the aunt hadn't been there and said, for the love of God, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I might have come away from that if the aunt had not been there, thinking that you must never stand up for yourself. You must never.
If there's only bad consequences. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, just not so much for the aftercare, which was nice, but for just standing up for the potential injustice of what was happening there. Yeah. I did make my mother rather angry that day, I believe. I'll take agency for that. I might as well. I know you're not allowed to, but it does make me grin to take agency for that. That I actually drove her to trying to murder me with a log, a plank, not a log. Let's be
Plank.
specific.
Gosh.
Plank.
Yeah.
Even though my mother tried to murder me with a plank, I deeply and profoundly love and accept my mother.
Mm, yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, yeah. And so instead, what you did was amplified the the empowerment moment and the freedom and the
Well, the
standing up
trouble
for
is that once that has happened, you can't undo it.
mm,
Once we have had a star event of some kind, even though the consequences of doing it or living it or talking about it are terrible, you can't undo that star event.
mm,
It's happened. It's too late. All the beatings in the world are not going to make that moment go away when my my idea of myself. This is what this is. My
yeah,
idea of my idea of myself, what I could actually be and do,
yeah,
expanded in that moment.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so
Well,
that's
what's
very
interesting
powerful.
is like how much it expanded when the actual memory happened or when we revisited it and allowed the examination of it and the reconnecting with that energy. There's something else happens. That extra evolution step actually happens when we go back and look at it. It's almost like it happens unconsciously
Yes.
when the story happens, when the memory actually takes place. But when we go back and have a look at it, then we get the conscious embodiment of it and the learning, which makes a
Mm,
real evolution inside. So
yeah.
there's value in revisiting and looking at that, just like we traditionally have gone back and looked at our painful memories to evolve and learn from them, that we get an extra evolution and learning when we go back and examine the message and the truth of the star moment.
Yeah.
So
And
that
now we can now reflect this back as to me as the client. How does that relate to having the weight of the world on your shoulders?
yeah, yeah,
Like a big sack of potatoes that the aspect didn't want to carry
yeah,
anymore
yeah, yeah.
and
And
said,
so
this, I'm not doing this anymore.
yeah. And
So
so how does it? How does it?
yeah, I don't know, ever since I discovered this energy thing, I felt so responsible for letting the people of planet Earth know about it. And yeah, really, and being clearly able to see they can't go on without this knowledge. They cannot go possibly on without this knowledge. And not, it's been very frustrating and tiring. And, it's been a big sack of potatoes I've been carrying on my shoulders all for the last, well, ever since this happened. Instead of enjoying my enlightenment experience, it's become a horrible burden.
Interesting.
So, yeah, to be able
So
to
how
just,
has this star memory impacted that? What's now
well,
changed?
it's really literally for the first time that I'm really thinking here, oh man, just say, I'm not doing this anymore. And experience the joy and the woohoo of the of the open road and that expansion of because look, it doesn't matter who puts the burden of the world on your shoulder. If this is some other person or an institution or an organization, or if it is yourself, we are not being served by this. This is just squashing our own freedom, our spirit, our expression, and just put it down. Put it down. There's 8 billion people on this planet, and the planet's really heavy. I mean, like really, really heavy. It's not for one person to carry, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
Just put it down. So if anybody else feels they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, just get rid of that, because that is literally only energy. That's a thing that we've kind of created for ourselves, being responsible people, I guess, wanting to contribute to society, that kind of thing. And that's really nice, but perhaps we contribute more to society when we're not carrying large bags of potatoes on our shoulders anymore, and just drop them off and just go forward and enjoy the road, and perhaps meet somebody on the road who wants to have some fun as well in this lifetime before we die. So that would be my message to me on this topic. That's what I would say to me on that topic. Is just seriously, don't stop. Just try and enjoy the road a little more.
Yeah. Make some more star moments on the way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
And be happier in your shining self. That's
yes.
contributing that energy then.
That freedom.
Yeah.
That freedom expansion of woohoo, oh look at me. Which makes me, I mean, that just makes me smile so nicely, and it brings the energy up so nicely. But so that was me. Thank you so much. Do you want to tell us the story of your client, the one that made you, the experience that made you so happy?
Well, yeah, it was a new person, and I heard something of the story, and that she was working on patterns from her childhood, and that was playing out in the today life, and so part of us were looking at, well, what needs to heal and evolve, and then actually she said it herself that, well, even though this has been the story, I've also had good experiences about this. She was like contradicting herself, her story. So I said, well, let's have a look at one of those. So
Okay.
just went to visit one of these experiences, and which it's interesting how it goes from, I asked her to connect. Can she think of an example? And you go from this little fragment of a memory that you probably never thought
Yes.
anything more about. You never thought about going and having a look at it. And then we open up this story of a setting, of a situation, a family situation. And then the star moment was this kind of stepping back moment and taking in the scene and the revelation that came to her of seeing the happiness around, and everybody's shining eyes and happiness, and the realization that she'd kind of facilitated that to happen. And her own
Interestingly.
realization, her star moment was, yeah, I did that. Despite everybody's had their traumas, even including me, we've all had our difficult lives, yet here we are having a happy event all together. And not only that, I made that happen. And the empowerment and it was very emotional for her.
Cool.
We got all that emotion flowing, which, was not allowed to previously happen. And we allowed all of that. And she just, I'd held up the Sue scale to her before, and where she was before and where she was afterwards. And she felt really amazing and happy. And I felt happy because I helped her to feel happy, and I helped, and it was so much fun
Yes.
to help her to discover what the underlying truth of this was, and to get the message for her.
Yeah.
And for her to feel the message in her body emotionally, to embody that. It was like, it's a delight. It's a delight as a practitioner to bring that about. And then we're both shining as a result. And it was so quick to bring us both into that place, compared to spending time looking what needs to heal, which is what we would have previously been doing if we didn't know about Star Matrix and the structure that is there. So I was happy, thinking, oh God, who else wants to be shined up? Simply someone else that wants to be shined up.
Me. And I responded to this by messaging you and saying, oh, do you have another client, or can we have a chat? It's really fascinating. So practically, so as a star client, I'm a star client. Look at that. Not that annoying Hartmann woman for a change. Woohoo! I'm a star client. I'm a star client. Yeah, so the message that I'm going to take away is that freedom expansion moment, codenamed freedom. When I'm using the term freedom to myself, that's going to reference that freedom expansion moment.
Yeah.
And so when I'm like sitting at work doing something and I'm like, oh God, this is all pointless. Nobody watches our live stream. Nobody leaves any comments. Oh God. Silvia, freedom. Oh,
Yeah.
dance like there's nobody watching
Yeah.
because nobody is. Yes. It's my favorite thing to say for the live streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, the messages are important part for, and they're not messages for everybody. They're messages for that one person, the one
Yeah.
star client who takes that home, takes that to heart, and those become really powerful, useful things to have in your daily life, to remember, to use for tapping sessions, to
Mhm.
meditate upon, if you will, to further evolve and develop.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to do something with that message,
Yeah.
so that
It's meaningful for us.
so that the therapy session actually has a meaningful, purposeful outcome at the end, something you can take home and use in your daily life to make your life better, which is, the idea behind star therapy. And
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. And I've been doing star matrix for 5 years now. That's quite a long time. I haven't had many personal sessions with any star therapists because there weren't any. Yeah,
There weren't
and
any.
the sentence there weren't any.
Mm.
So I have been doing star matrix. I've been filling my book of stars,
Mhm.
and this experience of seeing this star event not in isolation, but this sliding development down the timeline, and having this whole piece of the timeline flowing from star event to trauma to
The next one.
restoration and comfort. It's all flowing. The information is flowing all the way through. And that feels really, really nice.
Mm.
And it just happened spontaneously. And wow. Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot more to discover about star therapy.
Yeah.
A lot more to
Yeah.
discover. And it's not useless for trauma, people. Don't think it's useless for trauma, or that we're just sticking our heads in the sand by looking at our stars. We're doing the very opposite of sticking our heads in the sand, in the trauma sand. We stick our heads up out of the sand and look at the stars. And
Yeah.
there are so much blessings in there.
So, yeah. And we are also enjoying, we have a group on the journey to become star therapists. We're doing just looking at the star line. It's a beautiful journey and everybody's loving it. And
It's logical. It's
new
beautiful.
star therapists will be emerging from this process. So there will be more of us.
Yes,
So,
there will be. And I think this is going to be super popular with star therapists and star clients alike. I like thinking of myself as a star client. That's
yeah,
really nice.
yeah,
That means that I have a good chance of doing some evolving if I work with someone else.
yeah,
And one other thing here. Look, I'm the sort of the founder of this thing, the creator of this thing, but I use it. I actually use it because I want to test it. I want to see what happens. And Sandra uses it as well. She wants to
I
see
do.
what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
play with it like a wonderful new Christmas toy.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's got to be tested out,
Yeah.
to stand up to the concept and everything, so that we know that it is really reliable and a real structure there that we can work in, and
Yeah.
it stands up to test. So,
And I'm the 5-year proof, and so is Sandra, that we haven't gone crazy, that we haven't gotten some kind of, I don't know, God complex out of it, or become strange in some way, or any stranger than we were before we started, at least. So that's also nice that we have this longitudinal study of keeping your sanity through the processes of star therapy and starline therapy and all the rest of it.
yeah,
Just makes everything so much more interesting. And I love the way my trauma thing just dissolved as this thing happened, and the timeline reconnected and everything just flowed. flowed through it so smoothly. Wow.
Mm.
And I hadn't wanting to do therapy on myself at all. I was just writing an article.
Yeah. So interesting.
Mm.
Interesting.
Well,
So
if anybody is watching us, I cannot see any comments at all. That's a shame. If you have left a comment and asked a question, it would have been wonderful if I'd seen it. Perhaps you can leave a comment after the video, the live stream has finished in the proper box below. That would be nice. If you have any questions for us, we will always be happy to answer them. Right?
absolutely.
And yeah, Star Matrix journey starts tomorrow with Sandra. Wonderful experience. I absolutely could not recommend it more highly.
Good
If
fun
I had
and the
7 heads,
precious, absolutely, the preciousness. Also, letting each one to kind of collect and have the experience of the preciousness of their own moments that
existence.
mean something,
Yes.
and then to share in that as an audience, as each gets a chance to share their star stories and share, that is also precious, to participate in that, to witness that, and to have that shared with you. Beautiful moments just created as we go on the journey. Beautiful
Yeah.
moments.
And
Yeah.
and it happens so often that somebody tells a star story, like my star story of running down a road, whee, and other people go, "Oh, that reminds me of one of my own when I got my first bicycle." Da 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 da, and there is a triggering effect that makes it so much easier when you're in a group. That's the same with trauma memories, by the way. But then everybody gets more and more depressed by the end of it and more upset and angry. Whereas
Yeah.
Star Matrix obviously does the exact opposite.
Yeah,
So,
it's a
yeah.
group lifting up process that happens. So it's
You know,
bubble
I
together and
wonder what would have happened if for all the years in all those rehab centers around the world, instead of sitting around in circles on their chairs and talking about their traumas, the people would have talked about their star experiences instead.
mm,
I would have loved to have known that for 100 years or more.
mm,
But hey, here we are. Well, let's start doing something good for our souls, for our spirits, and be happy. Right. Thank you so much, Sandra, for taking time off
yeah, nice,
speaking with me today and
nice to hang
helping me find a lovely message that I'm gonna stick on my fridge and take away with me and stop taking myself and everything so seriously
out.
and putting down the giant sacks of potatoes and just say,
Metaphorically, yes,
yep, and just enjoy the day and the countryside
yeah,
and new ideas will come from that. New ideas will come from that. I
mm,
don't need to be afraid that my work is going to suffer from this. I think
mm,
it's going to get better when I'm less strained and stressed about the weight of the world on my shoulders.
yeah.
So yeah, if you have listened to us for so long, thank you so much. Um,
Thanks for tuning in.
Great to have you here. If we're saying something that you find interesting, please share it, explore it further. There may be some incarnation changing, wonderful information in what we are doing. I think so, at any rate. Lots of love from me and lots of love from Sandra.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye. Lots of love.